that. Let's start off on that note.
All right.
Hello, everybody. Finally, welcome to episode 19 of the Ranger Gareth podcast. After a long layoff, recovering from blasting off my own toe, switching job. It's been a doozy, but I finally landed
7
a
years
guest.
now?
8 years.
Wow. Yeah.
Did you do the seasonal class in 2015 or 2016?
2015.
2015, so I've known you for 8 years now.
Yeah, was that your first year?
That was my first year.
Yeah, that was both. I only did the 1 year with.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Josh Tkatchuk, former park ranger, former paramedic, current outdoorsman, and permanently Métis. I don't think that ever changes, does it?
No.
Is there anyone that starts off not Métis and then becomes Métis? Can you marry into it?
You don't gain status like my soon-to-be wife won't, but like she's marrying into the family and like she started to learn how to bead and like she's learning how to make bannock and I'm teaching her some Cree words because like I'm
sweet.
still learning Cree too.
Yeah.
So like I'm teaching her some stuff, but
Sweet.
yeah.
Josh is also my unofficial encyclopedia for Saskatchewan. He has lived there pretty much all of his life, and it is a province that I view very fondly. I've only been there a few times, but I always tell people it's the promised land. It's the only province that is a rectangle, which makes it special. It's one of only 2 landlocked provinces in Canada. Every other one touches at least one ocean. So, yeah. Here are a couple fun facts about Saskatchewan. Ta-ta-ta-ta. First off, nearly 10% of Saskatchewan's land area is actually freshwater, which is one of the higher proportions for Canada. And I believe that Saskatchewan also has one of the highest percentages of First Nations for any of the provinces in Canada. Do you know if that's correct? I feel like it's very high in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely makes sense. Like, growing up, like, I had lots of, like, friends, and, like, some visibly First Nations and some not. And, like, as we get older, then people post on stuff. Like, for example, my friend posted on his Instagram, and he's proud to have his Métis card, and I was like, oh, bro, like, I didn't even know. Like, I've known you since, like, grade 9, right? So, like, there's definitely a high First Nations, Métis, population, especially like further north you go. I'm from Prince Albert, so the northernmost city. After that, it's just towns, and yeah, it's pretty mixed up there.
I didn't know with you either, because like just comparing skin tones, like I think I'm like a good chunk darker than you, and then one day you were like, yeah, I'm Métis, and I was like, hey, wait, like the blue eyes and the pale skin.
Sure.
It's so to explain to people that aren't like from Canada or don't understand the whole Métis thing, it's a relatively recent ethnic group, right? Only starting around the 1600s, maybe?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, honestly, a bit later than that. There's, like, a joke that, like, the Métis Nation started 9 months after Europeans landed in what is now Canada, a.k.a. Turtle Island. So Métis is a French word that means mixed, and most Métis people have French and First Nations blood, typically like Cree or Ojibwe.
Yeah.
So they're mostly French, right? There is like English Métis, like I would be an Anglo Métis because my like great something grandfather came from England and then married a Cree woman.
Yeah.
So that's how it started, right? It was like half and half. And eventually, right, there's all these, like there's so many different names, like half-breed. Some people think half-breed's derogative. I don't find it so.
Is that, amongst the wider group, is that like a generally held belief that it's not offensive? Like, obviously I would never say that, because if I say that to the wrong guy, I'm going to get punched in the face. But like, as a group, how do they view that term half-breed?
Well, I don't know other people's opinion. Like, it doesn't bother me. And there's a Cree word, apitawokasisan, which literally means half son.
Yeah.
Because you're half First Nations, half European, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of different terms. It doesn't bother me. It might bother other people. The thing is, it's so diverse, right? There's people who like look like me, with like the brown hair, blue eyes, light skin. I obviously got my dad's Ukrainian last name, right?
Yeah.
And then there's people who are like visibly like indigenous, so it's very diverse. The only gained official recognition in 1867. I might be getting that wrong.
That's when the Constitution, or the British North America Act, came into effect. Was it the same year?
Yeah, so...
Because that would have been a big year for everybody in Canada then.
Maybe it was later than that. I don't know. Wikipedia would know.
Yeah,
this.
one of the benefits of doing a live podcast with a computer. When did Métis gain recognition?
I should know this. 1982.
1982. Way after. Because, all right, so 1867 was the British North America Act, which became the Constitution Act in 1982. And then we officially recognized Métis. But even though they weren't officially recognized, like, they were a well-known group in Canada for a long time, because historically, you had
100%.
guys like, well, most famous probably Louis Riel.
Yeah.
Who was...
Good old Louis.
Oh, God. Well, was he the reason Manitoba became a province?
He is, yeah.
That's kind of awesome.
I love when people are like, First Amendment rights. Actually, in Canada, your First Amendment right is the amendment to the Constitution that allows Manitoba into the Dominion of Canada.
Oh, that's Canada's First Amendment, Manitoba?
Yeah.
Oh, we could have done better. Like, sorry, Manitoba, I love you guys, but woof.
I mean, yeah, my soon-to-be wife's from there. So he was like the founder of Manitoba. He was a member of Parliament. He got elected in, I think, 3 times. What's funny is he also had essentially warrants. Their version of warrants at the time. So they snuck him in. He went in, signed the paper, basically Louis was here, and then dipped.
Oh my God.
When they realized, oh my God, he was in this building and we didn't know.
I think we're maxing out the levels a little bit. I'm going to turn the gain down a bit. Sorry for the people whose eardrums we might have been blowing out. I'm just excited. Oh yeah. Going back to the history of Saskatchewan, we've got a lot to cover here. So, capital, Regina. Largest city, Saskatoon. One of the only places the UFC has actually been in Canada. They had an event there a few years back.
I did not know that.
Became a province in 1905. And one thing that current people might not understand is that, historically, the government in that area has been a bit more left-wing. Like, it started off quite a bit more left-wing. Same with Alberta. Like, when you look at old school Saskatchewan and old school Alberta had the Social Credit Party, which was like an old farmers party, and the whole idea was like, we have the social contract and we're going to work hard and the government's going to take care of us. And Saskatchewan started off with kind of a similar thing. They had, we had Tommy Douglas in 1944. I'm sure a lot of Canadians recognize that name. But he was very, very socialist, and he ended up founding or becoming the first leader of the federal New Democrats. A lot of people don't realize it because nowadays Saskatchewan and Alberta are generally known as more right of center provinces.
Oh yeah, very conservative. As soon as you get out into the rural areas, there's a lot of yeah,
and that's a total flip from 100 years ago.
Yeah,
because you look at the old farmers' parties, and a lot of it was like, we want some kind of protections, we want stronger government, we believe in charity. Like, a lot of the things were very different. Yeah, you had the Social Democrats, you had the New Democrats. And I apologize, this mic is pretty sensitive. You can probably hear my neighbors stomping around upstairs. So I'm hoping that I can afford a proper studio sometime soon.
Subscribe to his Patreon. So
So most people in Saskatchewan, I think it's like 2/3 of them live within like 300 kilometers of the U.S. border.
Yeah.
Regina and Saskatoon are right near the bottom. And I just pulled up the Köppen climate types of Saskatchewan. For anyone that's just listening, we have a chart in front of us that shows the 3 main climate types of Saskatchewan. For anyone that's going to be watching the YouTube video, youtube.com/Ranger Gareth, check it out. Yeah, we're looking at these things called the Köppen climate types. So most people are down in like the cold semi-arid or the warm summer humid continental parts of Saskatchewan. The subarctic, probably similar to Alberta's subarctic. I'm going to guess in Saskatchewan it's similar. Not a ton goes on there apart from natural resource extraction. Like Saskatchewan, it's a lot of farming and mining, correct? A lot of mining, like potash, uranium.
Yeah, like, I mean, obviously I'm a first responder, so any of my buddies who aren't first responders work in some sort of like capacity related to mining, whether it is, like you said, uranium up north, or it's potash. There's solution mines. There's mines where you go underground. That's a no for me. I don't want to go a mile underground.
That's scary shit.
No. Yeah, it is. I don't want to do that. So definitely a lot of resource extraction. And that's why Saskatoon is Saskatoon is the biggest city. They've got a lot of potash around there. Plus they have the University of Saskatchewan, which brings in a lot of people. Fun fact, I don't know if Wiki's going to tell you this. So my hometown, Prince Albert, about 37,000 people.
Also the name of genital piercing.
Yeah. They had the choice way back in the day. They said, you guys want a penitentiary or a university?
Oh.
And they were like, who goes to school?
Oh, God.
So they chose the penitentiary.
Man, I hear that, and it makes me a little sad, but I get it, because there are a lot of small towns that rely on the jail to exist.
Yeah, Bowden, Grand Cache.
Yeah.
Drumheller.
Drumheller's got a...
I'm pretty sure they have a federal.
Man, all I think about are the dinosaurs.
I'm pretty sure Drumheller has a CSC institution.
Shit. Well, that's something I need to look up now. Also, fun fact, Saskatchewan is the sunniest province in all of Canada, which I didn't know until I opened up this wiki page. Did you know that?
I didn't. I knew that Calgary is the sunniest city, so I just assumed Alberta was the sunniest.
Apparently you guys get more than every other province on average, and you also get more tornadoes. 12 to 18 tornadoes per year. What the heck is this? And also there was something called the Regina Cyclone. Is that something you learned about in school? The Regina Cyclone? Is that something you learned when you were growing up?
I have no idea what that is.
June 1912, 28 people died in an F4 Fujita scale tornado. Fujita, not Vegeta. Geez, okay. Hottest temperature in Saskatchewan, 45 Celsius. Coldest, minus 56.7 in your hometown.
Oh, yeah.
Prince Albert, Jesus. Okay.
When I was doing the volunteer fire thing, it only happened to me once, and I've seen it happen to guys on the department. Like, your gear gets frozen to you. Oh. You get wet. And your SCBA is frozen to your turnouts.
Crap.
Yeah. So
you go, you fight the fire, you get back to the station, and you have to wait to defrost.
Yeah, something like that. You gotta find that, like, key zone where you're, like, close enough to the fire that you're getting the radiant heat, but not in the danger zone.
Yes.
Yeah. It makes firefighting really hard.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is, you've done some crazy jobs, man. Saskatchewan has had, lots of First Nations groups. We've got the Sarsi, which I believe there are a lot of them in Alberta as well. Niitsitapi, Atsina, Cree, Saulteaux, Assiniboine, and in brackets, Nakota, Lakota, and Sioux. I feel like there's, a lot of those in Alberta as well. It's...
For sure.
because the borders didn't come until way after the people were already here for a while. So we just drew a nice line right through the middle. In 1803, the Louisiana Purchase transferred from France to the United States part of what is now Alberta and Saskatchewan. In 1818, the U.S. ceded the area to Britain, and most of what is now Saskatchewan was part of Rupert's Land, controlled by the Hudson's Bay Company, which claimed rights to all watersheds flowing into the Hudson Bay, including the Saskatchewan River, the Churchill, Assiniboine, Souris, and Quappel.
Or as I say to annoy my fiance, Quapple.
The Quapple River.
Souris means mouse in French. The only reason I know that is my fiance's from Souris, Manitoba. So that river, which is interesting, it starts outside Weyburn. I spent like 4 hours, not 4 hours. I woke up at like 4 a.m. one Saturday and went on Wiki for like an hour and read all about the Souris River. It does. Souris starts outside Weyburn, dips down into North Dakota and that other state that's below us.
South Dakota?
I don't think south.
Or we're talking Montana.
No, what's east of North Dakota?
Okay, and on to Google Maps.
I don't feel bad about this because Americans wouldn't even know. It'd be like Canada.
If I have any American listeners, you're probably screaming at your computer right now. All right, we got.
Just know this is how we feel.
We got Montana, and then beside it, Google Maps, don't do this to me right now. God, had it for a second there. All right, we got Montana, North Dakota, and Minnesota.
Okay, yeah, it only goes, so the Souris River, yeah, so you can see Weyburn there. Mm-hmm. It like goes through Estevan, down into North Dakota, then up into Manitoba, which is super weird. It takes this great big, like, 100-kilometer long oxbow.
Oh, you know what I should have looked up before I started this episode? Where your watersheds go.
I love watershed maps.
I looked up one for Alberta, and like pretty much everything drains either into the Arctic Ocean or eventually into Hudson Bay. But if you go all the way to the southwest or southeast corner of the province, where are you? And it is being difficult right now. But the Milk River, there we go, there you are. The Milk River is the only one that ends up draining into the Gulf of Mexico for us.
Doesn't it join the Mississippi?
I believe it does. I believe that's how it gets to. The Gulf of Mexico. And the reason I know that is because it's also the only river in Alberta that actually has catfish.
That's pretty cool. I've never caught a catfish.
That is more surprising to me than I thought it would be. We've got this little thing called the stone cat, which I really want to catch, but apparently it's like teeny tiny, like.
Oh yeah, that's small.
6 inches max. So I don't even know what I'm gonna use to catch it. Like, I don't know, like a tiny chunk of hook, or a tiny chunk of a worm.
That reminds me of these fish. We when we were back in Manitoba visiting her family, there's these creek grubs, and they are tiny. Like, they're like a chunky little fish that's like 3 inches long.
What's it called? Creek grub?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, if I manage to find this picture, it's definitely going on the YouTube video. It's definitely bugs.
Or no, creek chub.
Okay, that makes more sense. So? That makes more sense, because we do have flathead chubs in Alberta.
Those are it. And see,
look at that little thing.
It's not hard to get them to bite. The issue was keeping them on the hook.
Do they have weird mouths?
I think just so small. I wish I had taken some little dry flies. That would have been sweet. All I had was just my normal, like, J hooks with my spinning rod.
I have this goal to try and catch every catchable fish in Alberta. The stone cat is one that I think I'll have a lot of trouble with because it's only like 6 inches long. We have a couple weird ones. Like there's the stone cat. There's the quillback, which is a sucker that it's apparently all through Saskatchewan.
Sucker fish?
It's a type of sucker. Yeah.
Okay.
I know some people view suckers as trash fish, but for me, there's so many types of sucker in Alberta that I want to try and catch all of them. But the quillback, I think it's only in the North Saskatchewan River.
I mean,
and it's mainly it's like close to the Saskatchewan border.
You should be able to get some then. I've caught red horse suckers and white horse suckers in the Sask.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got shorthead red horse and silver red horse. I know I've caught both of those.
Yeah.
And the silver red horse, at least around Edmonton, they can get fat, like bigger than a lot of the walleye I catch.
I feel like the silver horse and the white sucker are probably the same fish. There's so many different names, and see,
I need to show you because I went on a sucker rampage for a while. So we've got this big fat thing here, and they can get huge. So the silver red horse,
definitely caught one of those before.
And because you can tell, because like the shorthead red horse, its body is more of like a brassy gold color, and the fins are a lot more red. White sucker looks very different though, because its body it's called a white sucker, but its body almost looks
okay. Then I've caught a silver red
bluish. Like this one is a lot paler than a lot of the ones I catch, but I've caught some dark white suckers.
I feel like I've caught one of those, just not in the North Saskatchewan.
You know what? Actually, just to make it clear, I'll post this picture on the YouTube video. That's how dark the white sucker I caught was.
Not white at all.
No, that thing's like darker than an elephant gray.
Was the dude who named this colorblind?
I just wasn't paying any attention. What is that thing? Oh, you know what? This will be another good picture to show as well.
Got the pitties on in that.
Yeah, I missed them. They, I didn't treat my pit vipers well enough, so they got scuffed to shit. So I will buy a new pair eventually, but the wife hated them. I loved them, and she loves me enough that she doesn't mind when I buy dumb shit to make myself happy.
You know what I really like for sunglasses is the like the safety glasses, like the dark tinted ones.
Yeah?
I like them. I don't know. I feel aerodynamic when I'm running.
I thought you were going to say the cop Oakleys. The ones where you put them on and everyone's like, that guy's definitely a Fed.
I had a pair when that summer we were Rangers.
Yeah.
I had a pair.
Of course you did. I had the aviators. Young Gareth with the aviators.
How old were you when you were in the Ranger program?
I was 24, 25.
Okay. Yeah, I was 19.
Just so fresh-faced. The seasonal ranger program was such a good way to introduce people to law enforcement.
100% it was. It was funny, like I started giggling in class, like for context, like I'm in my last week of sheriff training, so we were doing appearance notices and stuff today. Started giggling and my desk buddy's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I'm just thinking about the amount of like tickets that probably got squashed in court because I was like, I'm 19 and I don't know how to properly write a ticket. And I just put your court date on a Saturday, so
whoops.
like
good luck. Yeah, I hope the judge is in a really good mood. Nope, they're not. Okay, well, I guess this quad ticket goes nowhere now.
I didn't write a lot of tickets, did you?
In my area, well, define a lot, because I probably gave, I don't know, maybe around like 100 over the summer.
I mean, like, you guys being in K country there had way more contacts. Like, I might go, like, a whole day shift and talk to one person.
Because what district were you in?
I was in Grand Cache.
Grand Cache. So no off-highway vehicle zones, correct? But a lot of Crown land?
A lot of Crown land. And that was the summer that we were allowed to start patrolling Crown land, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do a whole heck of a lot on Crown land unless it was related to fishing.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be spending some time in Grand Cache again this summer.
Are you? Nice.
Yeah, fishing Pierre Gray's lakes.
Yeah, that's my old parks. I used to patrol those.
It's great. What kind of things were you typically running into in Grand Cache in terms of, like, law enforcement issues?
I mean, when you say law enforcement, I know the RCMP had a big issue with drugs, and because there's only one highway going up through Grand Cache, so they were basically like, hey, if there's a sketchy vehicle that you guys pull over and you want help, don't hesitate to call. So, I mean, being park rangers, that's not our mandate. Our mandate was go to the parks and do park stuff. So it was a lot of like a lot of Edmontonians coming out. I remember this one couple walked up and was like, "Hey there, park ranger, how you guys doing tonight?" And they're like, "Good, good." I'm like, "Oh, I see you got your fishing rods." And they're like, "Yeah." I was like, "Cool." And it's just a complete rat's nest. And it's like,
oh no.
"Can I see your fishing license?" They're like, "What?" I'm like, "Can I see your fishing license?" "What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay. You haven't put your lines in the water yet. You're not going to tonight. So rather than ticketing them, education. I don't know about you. I was a firm. I'd rather just educate you.
Of course.
Because if you give them a ticket, now they're gonna be like, "Oh, I don't want to go fishing again," right? And that's not what we want. We want people to want to fish and hunt.
Yeah, like there were some people. Well, there were some people that got like way too excited about issuing tickets, and it made me feel kind of gross when I saw those kind of officers whose whole thing was just, I want to hammer as many people as possible, because as an outdoorsman, as someone who wants other people to give a shit about the environment, I don't want your first time fishing to be an armload of tickets and me kicking you out of the park.
Exactly.
At the same time, there were instances where I would catch somebody who had like 4 or 5 things wrong. Yeah. And then I would probably be like, all right, well, you're at least leaving with a couple tickets.
Yeah.
One of the biggest ones in my old district would have been with the off-highway vehicles, like the dirt bikes and the quads and stuff, because one of the weird things, for people outside of Alberta, we have interesting rules regarding off-highway vehicles. You don't need a driver's license to operate them. You don't need your driver's license. But you do need to have your registration and your insurance with you, and a license plate, and a headlight, and a taillight. Guess how many dirt bikes were missing all 5 of those?
A lot.
A lot. Because they sell them right off the lot. It'll be, I forget what the exact term is, like a track bike. A lot of the track bikes would just have like maybe a reflector on the back and no headlight, because they're meant to be raced in a stadium during daylight hours or with big artificial lights on them. So I would catch these people and they would be like, "Oh, well, like this is how they sold it to me," and I would tell them, I'm sorry, but what would have happened if your bike would have broken down way out in the bush, or you misjudged the time and suddenly it's dark and you have no headlights and no taillights? Or what if it's really dusty and your friend can't see you through the dust cloud and runs into you, and you don't have a sat phone so you can't call us? And they're like, "Oh, I didn't think of that." But not to sound too paternalistic, but a big part of my job was thinking that for people, because when shit hit the fan, it was going to be someone like you or me that was going to have to go out back there to save them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like...
And we had a couple situations like that. I saw someone posting... So in Canada, one of the big... I shouldn't say it's like a big issue, but it's an issue that keeps popping up, is turbans and motorcycles. Because the turban, it's a religious artifact.
Right.
It's very important for the people that wear it, but I don't think it's crash proof. So there are a lot of people that are saying, "I don't need a helmet," interestingly enough, there are people that are trying to make helmets or some kind of shock absorption device that will fit on top of a turban. I've heard of that coming along, but there are so many people that think I don't need any kind of helmet. People that will be riding their quads or their dirt bikes, and they're like, "No, I'm a good rider." Or even side-by-sides. There was I believe it was 2016, the second summer I was working in Kananaskis, a father and son rolled their side-by-side, and they had taken their helmets off because it was too hot. Oh, and then the son died, and the father got airlifted to hospital. So picture being that dad for a second. Having a good ride with your kid. "Oh, it's too hot. Hey, kid, let's take these off." "Yeah, it is hot." You roll over, your kid dies, you're hospitalized.
Yeah.
It's just nightmarish. And like, you think you're safe in a side-by-side. Not all the time, I guess.
No, and like, the way I explain it to people, like, I was a park ranger when I was 19, so like a lot of people like finished high school and moved out, and you had freedom. I had that, but even bigger than that, responsibility, right? We both had that.
Yeah.
So being so young, I was like going to rollovers with people like my age and younger, and like going to stuff where, like, I remember I went we had this sweet little creek in the park. I can't remember what it's called, but you could cliff jump in there.
Oh.
So I was going down there, whatever, and they had some cheap beers, probably Lucky Lager. So I was like, hey, park ranger, and this dude was climbing up the rock, heard me, and then like turned around and slipped. Thankfully, he didn't totally damage himself, but just like tumbled down the rocks and just bore his shorts. And I was like, oh, okay, come here, like, come sit on the tailgate. You're going from that enforcement to now you're doing first aid on someone.
Yeah, you need to be able to just flip like that.
For sure. And like, I think that's definitely, like you said, that paternalistic instinct, right? Where you're thrust into that uniform role. And it's not like we were thrust, we chose to go into that, right? Yeah. But it definitely changes the way you think about things. Like, you know, I mean, I saw you got your bear spray, I got my bear spray, like, you know, first aid kits, right? You
kind of have to be everyone's dad. like a little disappointed. Yes, you have to bring in the rules, but at the end of the day, you want everyone to just come home safely.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I heard it like at least a couple times, because I worked the 2 summers as a seasonal.
Yeah.
One Alberta, one Saskatchewan.
Nice.
And just people doing silly things like, oh, I'm in the park, I thought I could do that. And I'm like, no. If anything,
not at all.
There's less things you can do in provincial parks than you can on Crown land.
Yeah.
One I would see all the time. And like, don't get me wrong, I did it when I was a kid, going out like fishing with my uncle. Here, get in the back of the boat, and then you drive down the road, trailering the boat.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Or having people ride in like the bed of your truck.
For sure.
Or one that, like, there are some more obscure rules that pop up, like shooting out of the bed of your truck. I ran into that once.
In your park?
Yeah. It was in McLean Creek.
Okay.
And somebody was like, they had set up their targets down the hill, and they were sitting in the bed of their truck, resting the gun on like the edge of the box as like a gun rest.
Yeah.
And shooting from that position, and I'm like, no, definitely no.
Plus, just have fun blowing your eardrums out.
That's and there was another guy who I don't know. You know what? If any of these listeners actually know McLean Creek, that's going to be such a shocker to me, because I think I have an audience of like 12 right now. But if any of you 12 have been in McLean Creek, you know there is a portion of the road shortly before it switches to like Highway 541 or whatever. This guy had set up a target up on a hill, and then he set up his shooting table on the other side of the road.
Oh my god.
And was shooting over the road to his target. So I pull up, I see this, I'm immediately pissed, because what are you doing? And I like, yell like, ceasefire, unload the gun, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
And this guy like looks shocked that I'm upset, and I said, what are you doing? Like, you can't do that. And his response was, well, I'm not shooting when the cars are here. That's not the point, man. It's...
Oh, man.
Now, I get it. As someone that does shoot, sometimes it sucks dragging your target, like 200 meters up a hill, having to walk back through the bush and like find good shooting alleys. But that's part of what we do, and the reason we do it is because we're responsible. Gun owners in Canada, like there are already enough struggles being a shooter in Canada
100%.
With the new restrictions and shooting ranges getting shut down and the price of ammo. We don't need people shooting over roads to make the situation worse.
You say the price of ammo. So I've got an Enfield 303. It used to be like, yeah, that gun makes like a man or woman out of you. It really kicks. World War II champion gun there.
Yeah.
Actually, my gun's from World War I. I found a little etching in the metal. Anyways, getting back to the price of ammo, it's $65 right now for a box
of 20
of just your normal Winchester at Cabela's.
That hurts.
Yeah,
it hurts my heart. And like it's hard to find 303 British in a lot of places now.
Oh yeah.
My
and it used
buddies
to be everywhere.
Well, yeah, like we were where were we? Edson, which you're out in the country. They have a pretty good outdoor store. No 303 British. I asked when they were going to restock. They had no idea.
Yeah, that's sad.
Not to trash the Edson store. They had all the other stuff we needed, but just 303 British is hard to find.
I think I know what store you're talking about, because I was in GC, so sometimes me and the maintenance dude, who was also my age, would drive to Edson or Hinton, just because there's like 50 people in Grand Cache. There's actually more than 50 people, but...
So, just because we brought up Grand Cache a lot, and I'm going to be heading back up there, did you know how well they're doing now? Because that town was broke for a while.
Yeah,
They were not doing well.
I would drive through and just boarded up shops.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Sportsplex was going to shut down. The airport had shut down. Everything was shutting down.
The only thing that was really keeping it alive was the penitentiary and a little bit of coal mining.
Yeah, but since most of the coal mines were outside of the town itself, the town collected very little of the revenues.
Yeah.
So I stopped by their fancy visitor center last summer.
It's a very nice visitor center.
It's amazing. And what they were telling me was, so the Municipal District of Opportunity, which surrounds that whole area, absorbed the town of Grand Cache. So now, it's Grand Cache... Yeah, it's called the MD of Opportunity. Isn't that so optimistic?
That's weird that I didn't know that, right? Because, you're filling out, your POPA tickets.
Yeah.
You're
They took it over, and now all that revenue is getting shared all over the place. All the oil and gas revenue, the mining revenue, the timber revenue.
Yeah.
It's all getting shared across the board. So now Grand Cache isn't getting shafted by, a bad tax base. So they are improving the Sportsplex. They want to make it a proper conference center.
Nice.
They are reopening the airport, which is good because So when I spoke with the people there, they have a long-term plan. They want to revamp the Sportsplex, revamp the airport, maybe spruce up some of the hotels, and then have it so that people will fly in for conferences. Because think of how busy Banff and Jasper and Canmore and Waterton are right now. Just all those places are getting so packed. Sure. People are looking for alternatives. Nordegg, Grand Cache.
Yeah.
They could be some of the next big tourist spots.
Tourism's big for Alberta.
We have so much beautiful stuff here.
I gotta admit, and I'll tell the public this. There was a couple of things that brought me to Alberta, and one was a Tourism Alberta commercial.
Oh.
And I remember watching it and then applying for Alberta Parks. And as well, the artist, because they're featuring local artists, he's from Calgary now, and his name's Ruben in the Dark, their band.
I've heard of them, yeah.
Oh my god, they're so damn good. I've seen them in Saskatoon, and then we went to them in Calgary last summer too. A free one in the park on Canada Day.
Oh my god, I wonder if they would mind if we played a chunk of their song. Do you think they'd sue us?
I don't know.
Let's see. All right, Ruben in the Dark. On the off chance that you're listening, we are going to play your music, not in the hopes of getting a YouTube strike, but in the hopes of
spreading your name,
sharing some good Alberta music.
So specifically, the song, it was called Bow and Arrow, and it was in an Alberta Parks commercial or a Travel Alberta commercial. And I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna move there, and now I'm here.
Ruben and the Dark, Bow and Arrow. Oh no, Ruben?
Yeah, like the sandwich, I think.
New York, Ruben and the Dark. Oh my god, they have...
Yeah, they're doing some cool stuff with the Blood Tribe now. Or sorry, not the Blood Tribe, the Bullhorse Singers. And it's really cool.
Yeah, you guys go too, yeah.
Recorded in Standoff, Alberta. Now just picture this song going on with slow panning pictures of the mountains and the lakes.
I was 18. I was like, yeah, man, I'm going.
They got you.
And then this just hits different, right?
Oh my god, I'm feeling things. This is... Oh my god. Alright, I'm going to stop it there so we don't get a copyright strike, but for anyone that wants to listen to that, that's Reuben in the Dark, Bow and Arrow, and that is just fantastic. This was a live one with the Bullhorn Singers from the Blood Reservation in Alberta. That is just... I see how they got you.
Yeah, man.
I see how they got you with that one. Oof. That made me feel things.
They're really good. Yeah, he was at Alberta Parks or Travel Alberta commercial, and I was like, hey. And I was working at a ski shop, and
in Saskatchewan?
Yeah.
Saskatchewan is hills?
I mean, yeah, that's a great segue into that. Okay, so you guys got what, like 3 little ski resorts in not Edmonton. We're in Edmonton here, along the riverbank.
Yes.
So that's what we have back home too. They're all on the riverbank, like Little Red, Fort Qu'Appelle, Table Mountain. Table Mountain's a plateau.
Yep.
That's also my pet peeve. So any Saskatchewanians listening, we need to stop doing that. We need to stop naming hills mountains. They are not mountains. They are hills.
Okay. Let's see. Table Mountain. Oh, it's not even on the wiki page, is it?
It is a ski snowboard resort outside North Battleford. Now, when I say ski snowboard resort, it's like 5 minutes to get up and like 3 minutes to get down.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Give me some good info. 600 meters to the summit. That's cute.
Yeah.
That's cute.
I was working at a ski shop, and this person I worked with, she was like, hey, I saw a job posting. You get a cowboy hat and a shotgun and a horse. And I was like, all right, let's go.
Sick.
Yeah, man.
And then you joined us.
I did.
Did you get your cowboy hat?
No, seasonals didn't get cowboy hats.
Did you get your shotgun?
I did.
Did you get a horse?
I did.
Grand Cache had a horse program?
Yeah, it's based out of Hinton.
Oh,
which is...
We did not have horses down in Kananaskis.
You did shotgun course, didn't you?
We did shotgun rifle, but no horses. But we had the quads.
Yeah. Did we do our shotgun course together? I think you were a week after mine, because there was 120 recruits when we went through training.
Yeah, it was the first season was insane. Second season was also pretty insane, and then it dwindled a bit, and then they scrapped the program, which I'm not a personal fan of.
No.
Oh man, if I would have done a bit more research before this, I would have had the numbers for you. But like Alberta Fish and Wildlife, they're struggling in terms of numbers. I think there's under 100.
So Fish and Wildlife, or as we affectionately refer to them, the Green Sheriffs.
It's so crazy that they're wrapped into sheriffs now as well. I know a bunch of people that left right after they got absorbed into sheriffs.
Yeah.
Because sorry, you go ahead.
Well, being in recruit training, right? They keep coming in. They're like, "Hey, who wants to come over to Fish and Wildlife? Who wants to go over to Fish and Wildlife?" And I was like, "Sure." They're like, "All you need is at least 2 years in resource law enforcement and a diploma or a degree." And I'm like, "That's it, eh?" Just
yeah.
So they're struggling. I've heard they're going to drop some of their requirements.
Oh?
I mean, every law enforcement agency is struggling. I don't know about your agency.
The city just did a big hiring push.
Yeah.
So we've got like some new animal control officers, some new general peace officers, park rangers, transit peace officers. Edmonton's growing just so rapidly, and so is the call volume. Like winters, when I was with the park rangers, winters were pretty quiet because not many people are using the parks in the winter. But the summers, they were just getting more and more chaotic because you have Edmonton finally allows liquor in some of the parks at certain campsites.
That's crazy. And Alberta parks too.
It's about time though. I was having some good discussions with people about this. Because like I'm not Puritan by any means when it comes to liquor consumption. Like drink it if you want to drink it, but don't be dumb about it.
For sure.
But that was one of the things where I felt too paternalistic with Alberta's liquor rules, where it's like, no, you're an adult, but you can't have a beer at that picnic site. Why not? And I do feel like a lot of that was just an old holdover from like prohibition thinking.
Yeah, I remember like I said, I might have like one contact a day.
Yeah. So
I think it was Pierre Gray's Lakes. Mm-hmm. And I'm driving around, hadn't seen anyone, and there's one dude standing on the dock and it's raining. So it's like, I should go do a compliance check.
Yeah.
I go out, check his license, whatever, talk about fishing, football, or hockey, or whatever. It's like, then I noticed a beer can. I was like, that's not yours, right? He's like, no. I'm like, cool. So, which section of Gaming Liquor Cannabis Act? Peace officers can seize liquor that's not claimed. So it's like, oh, well, if you're not claiming it, then it has no owner, and I just dump it in the dirt over here.
There right? You go.
You know, that's a way more, in my opinion, better way of dealing with it than, you know, here's an open liquor ticket. I don't even remember how much are they.
Oh God, quiz me on that.
I can't remember.
I feel like it was 87 or 110 are the numbers that are popping up in my head.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. I was gonna say like 90.
Though.
Yeah,
or was it section 87 I'm thinking of?
Either way, it's like, here's a $90 to $100 ticket. Hope that beer was worth it, right? Like,
yeah,
that's just gonna cause distrust. You know,
I think society is moving in a way where we're starting to trust adults more because have you traveled much to like
I was just going to say, have you been to Europe?
Only Greece so far.
Yeah.
But when I spoke with one of the proprietors of our hotel, I asked like, hey, I saw like people, you know, drinking out in public, like, is that okay here? And she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, drinking like liquor in public, that's acceptable in Greece? And she's like, wait, like don't get like drunk off like vodka. I was like, but I can like walk around with a beer? They're like, oh yeah, no, we don't count that as liquor here.
No, you know what?
Like beer and wine, you just walk around with it. Like, it's 30 plus degrees outside. You're sweating your bag off. Let me have a beer. And they're civilized enough to be like, yeah, we trust the adults.
McDonald's in Italy, and I think Germany too, but I vividly remember Italy had beer called Peroni.
I've had Peroni.
Yeah, it's not bad. You know what I would do? Because we're on a high school trip. I'd get a supersized cup.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I'll fill it up halfway with iced tea. Give me 3 cans of Peroni. And I'd just make like my own like Radler.
Oh, smart.
And then just walk back into the hotel, and all the high school like trip advisors were like, oh, is that beer? I'm like, no, it's iced tea.
Yeah.
It is totally beer.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Smart though. Smart way to get around it. So McDonald's beer was okay.
McDonald's beer was okay.
Nice. That's a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I've been to McDonald's. I remember going to McDonald's in Thailand, and they use Australian beef, and it was a whole different experience. And they give you like a petite thing of toothpaste, but no toothbrush.
Wait,
it was
what
like,
the fuck?
Yeah. So like imagine flying 24 hours. Also, for some reason, we flew Saskatchewan to Toronto to Montreal to Qatar to Bangkok. So we flew for like 24 hours. We get off the plane, we go get McDonald's, and they're like, Here's your cheeseburger and toothpaste.
Wait, okay, why the toothpaste?
I don't know. I still don't know.
I've been to Thailand. I don't remember toothpaste.
Right, you taught English in Thailand. We've talked about
6 months,
this.
yeah.
Okay.
But now that I think about it, I don't think I went to their McDonald's at all. I did not try Thai McDonald's.
No.
I went to Thai 7-Eleven a lot because 7-Eleven's everywhere.
Thai 7-Eleven's sweet, man.
Good beer selection. What was they had? It wasn't corn dogs, but I got so many meals from 7-Eleven. I know it's not healthy, and like probably when I'm 90 and have weird health issues, it's probably gonna tie back to like Thailand's 7-Eleven greasy corn dog equivalent, but how do I put it without sounding uncultured? I kind of like seeing North American things in other countries, even if I don't use them.
Yeah.
I know they're there if I need a fallback. Like, for example, in the place I was staying in Thailand, I was in rural Thailand, northeast, a province called Nakhon Ratchasima.
Yeah.
And they don't really have white people that stay there because it's literally farmland. It's rural Thai farmland where tourists don't go. So all the menus were in Thai. I learned how to read a little bit of it, but I was mostly just pointing at pictures and hoping that it was something I would like to eat. I knew the names of 4 food dishes confidently, most of which I could not say now. There was pad see ew, there was kapao mu, kai dao, which was the same dish but with an egg. And then I used to remember the name for papaya salad. But like those 4 dishes, and if those 4 weren't on the menu, I had to guess. Like I would point to something that looks tasty. So just knowing that if I ate the food and hated it, I could walk over to 7-Eleven and have like a cheesy corn dog as my backup meal, it was comforting. Having like a greasy Canadian food safety net.
Yeah, again, not to sound uncultured, I've had Burger King in 3 countries. Exact same.
They've got consistency. Which 3 countries?
Well, obviously Canada.
Yeah.
Thailand, Italy.
You'd think there would be something, like the beef would taste different, or the bread would be wrong, or...
McDonald's uses like local beef, right? So they're using beef from Australia in Thailand.
Yeah.
Obviously Canada, right? They're using good old Saskatchewan Berta beef.
The good stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
The grain-fed, yeah.
Yeah, none of that corn-fed beef. Sorry, Americans.
I had a discussion with a guy from Argentina about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm not a very passionate man. I'm not a very aggressive man. But Alberta beef is one of those hills I will die on. Where they're like, Argentine beef is the best in the world. I'm like, not a fucking chance, man. Not a chance. You can try... I need to go to Argentina to taste it.
Yeah.
I would love to try it out. I don't think it's going to hold a candle to the good stuff.
No.
Prairie Province's got it right.
They do.
Do you... Oh, so... That actually reminds me, in an earlier episode when I was explaining like Alberta's land use structure, I talked about our heritage rangelands, which I don't think there were any up in the Grand Cache area, but there are chunks of land in Alberta where we take these large fields and we would allow like huge herds of cattle to go out there, similar to a grazing lease, in order to maintain it similar to how the bison would have done it. Is there something similar in Saskatchewan, do you know?
Yeah, we've got crown grazing areas, and they're very similar to heritage rangelands. You can go hunt on them. You can call up the guy or girl, whoever manages them, and get permission to hunt on them as long as there's no cattle.
Yeah.
You said similarly to bison. I am a big fan of bison. I mean, obviously you guys can't see, but I have a bison tattoo on my right forearm.
You know what? If you send me a picture of that, I'll throw it on the YouTube video.
Sounds good. I think we should have more bison farms.
Yeah?
But, okay.
I have no idea how the rules work for getting approval for a bison farm.
Well, they're native to North America.
Yes.
So what bison do? So I studied agriculture for a bit when I was still trying to figure out what I want to do. And I mean, my sister would say I still don't know what I want to do. She likes to bug me. Sorry, I can't be mom and dad's favorite and go straight into nursing school.
Nerd.
Yeah. No, she's going to be a great nurse, and I'm super proud of her for that. But cows will eat all the way down, and they'll rip the whole root of a plant out, or they'll eat down to the stem, whereas bison will only eat the broadleaf.
You know what? You're not the first person that mentioned that exact problem.
Yeah, and then it regenerates way faster. Right? So cows can contribute to another dust bowl if we're not careful.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't think this episode was going to bring up a new
I mean that's a very extreme. There's other things we have to worry about again, like, you know, another toilet paper shortage or something.
I'm a catastrophizer though. Dust bowl in 3 years.
Yeah.
Save yourselves.
But I like bison. I think they're a cool animal. They're a symbol of, especially in like indigenous cultures, prosperity.
Have you been up to Elk Island?
I have, yeah.
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 That place is awesome. They for anyone that doesn't know, Elk Island is a national park that's like 30 minutes east of Edmonton, and they have a large herd of bison which has traveled back and forth a bit. Like, I think they were extirpated from Alberta, then we got some up from Montana to Elk Island, and then the Elk Island ones repopulated very well, and now they've been getting shipped out all over the place. Because we have the bison. There's a small bison herd near Waterton Lakes. There's another one in Banff somewhere, and I think there's another one in Jasper. I think they're trying to reintroduce them to all the mountain parks.
You know what's funny is I've never seen the ones in Banff. I mean, like, living in Calgary, we spend a lot of time going into Banff. I've definitely seen the elk.
I feel like, let's see, Banff bison herd, I feel like they were tucked back into one of like the back valleys, one that wasn't super accessible.
You probably don't want a full-grown like bold bison walking down Main Street, Banff.
God, there's this Instagram page I follow called Tourons of Yellowstone.
Oh God.
Like tourist morons. And
yeah.
It's just so many people getting launched by bison.
I mean,
no one seems to understand the fact that a bison could flip a car. They can easily flip a car. I shouldn't say easy. I don't know. They haven't told me how hard it is, but they could flip a small car. They could flip you. They could flip both of us.
Well, did you hear about that guy a couple years ago? He was camping in Elk Island. He went out for a morning run, and
oh God,
yeah,
he got like a horn through the ass, right?
Yeah, and his very pregnant wife had to call 911, and it was a highway sheriff who was the closest. And like, I don't think they shot the animal, but
that's
basically,
gonna be you.
Wow, yeah,
you're gonna get calls for that stuff.
Yeah. What's cool is the sheriffs here. Like, I work sheriffs in Saskatchewan. There's so many different opportunities for growth. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, shout out, we're hiring 250 officers if anyone wants to apply.
Woo! Law enforcement life.
There's a lot of cool stuff, like highways, courts. Yeah, like there's a lot of cool things you can do with sheriffs here. But yeah, it was that dude.
So we found the map for the bison reintroduction zone. Looks like it's actually closer to Lake Louise. They're dumping them off in the mountains. So we have the soft release 2017-2018. They brought 16 healthy bison from Elk Island to an enclosed pasture in Banff's eastern slopes. 2018 to 2022, they were... So... It says they're free roaming, but also mountain ridges and short stretches of wildlife-friendly fencing discouraged bison from leaving the 1,200 square kilometer reintroduction zone. We are now in 2023, which I think means they're going to be totally free roaming now. Which is going to lead to some fun videos. Okay, let's see. There's also...
I imagine you probably spend a good amount of time in Jasper, eh?
Yeah, we have friends in Jasper who have an Airbnb, so we sometimes stay with
sweet.
them. But with with the and again, I don't want to sound, oh man, I'm gonna sound like such a bitch, but like, I love Banff and Jasper and Canmore. I'm happy that their tourism industry is doing so well.
Yeah.
But I miss when I could go there without it being bumper to bumper traffic all the time. It's good for, I mean, I'm sure some people who live there hate it, but for the people that are making a ton of money that live there, good for you. You're making tons of tourist money. I just miss like that slightly more relaxed pace. Like my wife and I, we try and go during a lot of the shoulder season months.
Yeah.
Like April, May, September, October, it's a little less busy. But from like May through to August, I'm generally trying to go to the places that are less busy. Like, I'm not going to say the names because then they'll blow up.
That's fair.
There are a lot of places all through the eastern slopes of the Rocky Mountains, all the way from like Grand Prairie all the way down the edge of the mountains to the U.S. border that are still beautiful, and they have a couple small neat shops.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll say one name because it's already kind of known, but Nordag.
Yeah.
Nordag is a good spot. They've got that awesome pie shop. Anyone that's listening to this that's been through Nordag, you know the pie shop. Anyone that hasn't been to Nordag, if you're close to Rocky Mountain House, just make the extra drive to Nordag and check out the pie shop because it's that good. But I'm definitely going to be camping around there a lot. But it's as big as they say, like 7-8 feet tall, all muscled up, covered in fur. That bear spray's not going to do shit.
You ever bear sprayed anything?
Other than myself?
Yeah, I mean, I've done contaminated myself.
Other than when my buddy accidentally knocked my clip off my bear spray and I sprayed myself while duck hunting. Because that definitely happened. No, not actively. I've had to pull my spray out a few times when a bear was getting too cozy.
Yeah.
But it was only for black bears, and as you probably... Actually, yeah, you have black bears all through Saskatchewan as well.
We do, yeah.
They behave a little differently than grizzlies, so a lot of the times you can intimidate a black bear off the trail, which is what happened the few times I actually had to pull out my bear spray. I never had to use it. I would just talk to the bear until the bear was like, I don't want to fight, and they would just get off the trail, and I would go my way, and the bear would go its way, and that was the end of the story. Have you had to spray anything?
So I was on the North Sask, back home.
Yeah.
And I came up, so I was fishing. We used to stay out super late, and I'm sure you do too, right? You know, we talked about, like, you get your pickerel rig out there.
Yep.
Out in the current, whatever, and make a fire. And
some of the fish bite better at night.
Sometimes they do. So there's a bunch of us. There were some corrections sheriffs and, like, conservation dudes, like, you know, peace officers. And I was like, all right, guys, I'm going home. And as I come up the hill, it's like a freaking horror movie. There's a flash of lightning. So I was like, whatever. It's like that, you know, that humid heat lightning?
Yeah.
It's like 1 a.m. and all I've got is my headlamp. So I come up to North Saskatchewan, which, for everyone listening, if you don't know, it's pretty steep, like, to come up the banks of it.
Yeah.
And there's our trucks there. And got my headlamp on, and I seen something from, like, I don't know, maybe like 3-4 meters away. And I was like, holy shit. And I startled it, and it startled me. And then it started coming at me, and all I can see is its reflection of its eyes and pointed ears. So I reached my back rack.
No.
I grabbed the off, realized that can was too small, grabbed the bear spray, and then I popped that safety, and I held down. And they always say there's 30 1-second sprays or 1 30-second spray.
Yeah.
I chose the latter that day. It was the 1 30-second spray, and I was just like, get back, get down, stop fighting. Like, turns out we're pretty sure it was a wolf, because my buddy had a trail cam set up for his elk bait not far from there, like 2-3 kilometers.
Yeah.
And he's seen a wolf in that area a lot, going by his trail cam. So
shit.
I'm pretty sure I bear sprayed a wolf.
Damn.
I don't know.
Normally they don't want to be around people too.
Which is weird, right? Because you get a bunch of dudes around, right? And we're laughing and telling jokes and cooking hot dogs and, you know.
Lots of noise, the sound of the fire.
Yeah. Yeah, that or a cougar. I'm pretty sure it's a wolf.
If you saw the pointed ears, yeah, it's either wolf or coyote.
Yeah.
Or somebody's farm dog. I got a face full of spicy spray. Did you even consider a farm dog?
There's no houses near.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, we got to take an old logging road, an old 2-track to get back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. Have you had many like random farm dogs join you while you're fishing?
Not while fishing. While hunting, we had one. We were out yote hunting, me and a buddy.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh yeah, there's a squatter who lives in this like back 40. And so we're, blowing like the coyote call, like the rabbit in distress, and this dog came out. I was like, man, like I do not want to have to shoot someone's dog. Like, please do not charge us.
Yeah, please be friendly. Please be friendly.
Yeah, and we were just like, all right, let's just like pack it up, right? Because, being a gun owner, sometimes you just got to be the bigger man and, okay, we're going to pack it up.
Yeah.
Hunt's done for the day because, you shoot someone's dog in self-defense, that's not good.
I would feel like such a piece of shit, even if it was self-defense.
For sure. I mean, I love dogs. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. So
what happened with the dog?
We turned off the call and we left, and I don't know.
And the dog just went off by itself?
But like at one point it was like trying to cross the field to come see us. We're like, no, please go away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know, when you were working parks, did you ever have any encounters with dogs?
Only once. And I hate to play the stereotype game, but yes, it was a pity. It was another pit bull, and I go to speak. Was I speaking with this family? I forget why I was approaching this one trailer, but it was in the McLean Creek off-highway vehicle public land use zone, and I was walking up to this trailer, and this like gray and white pitty just starts sprinting down the hill at me. I'm close enough to my truck that I could make it back to the truck before the dog gets me, but I just yell up the hill, "Is it friendly?" And they're like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "It better fucking be," because this thing is just like
meat missile.
It's just this big fire hydrant of a head thing. Yeah, but luckily it was friendly. I give most dogs the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Yes, I do view different breeds a little differently. Because if it was a golden retriever sprinting at me, I'm going to react a little differently.
He probably just wants to lick your face.
Yeah. But any dog sprinting at me and not showing any signs of slowing down, I need answers fast before the baton is coming out. I think I cracked the baton out just to like be ready for that one dog, but
how did the owners react seeing the baton out?
I think they were more just like worried that I was gonna, like, they weren't mad, they were just worried. From what I can remember, this would have been 8 years ago now, but the only thing I distinctly remember was that dog just coming right at me.
I had something similar. I was at Big Berland, so that's a PR.
I think it's a PRA.
I think it's a PRA.
Recreation area.
I'm pretty sure it's a PRA, and there's a first come first serve. So I got out. I like doing foot patrols, especially in the evening. I was just telling Taylor, my fiance, about this. So that's what I miss about working parks is like foot patrols in the evening down by the lake or the river were so peaceful, and people are cooking and there's the smell of smoke. So I parked the truck in an empty site, and just them getting out. I can't remember what breed it was, but it was a very large, meaty-looking breed. Mm-hmm. It came running out of this person's campsite. So boom, right there, dog off leash. I pulled the spray. I don't know where you put your spray. I like my spray like right in the front, like essentially beside my belt buckle.
Yeah.
I pulled my spray and I had that out, and this dog was like coming right at my groin. And the owner called it off and then seen me putting my spray back and was like, "Oh, were you gonna spray my dog?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie, like I have no idea what your dog's demeanor is like.
Exactly. It's like, as a dog guy, I love dogs, but I'm also a realist. If I don't know your dog, or if you don't know my dog, and my dog was sprinting at you and it had no recall, I wouldn't, like, I'd obviously be upset that you sprayed my dog, but I would understand.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a stranger's dog running at you. I saw a video a little while back where these two off-leash dogs started going at this horse, like it was a guided trail ride.
Yeah.
And then these two horseback riders, and the dog started like lunging and like jumping up and nipping at this one horse. So the horse is freaking out, and the trail riders are yelling like, recall your dog, get your dog out of here. And the dogs had zero again, as a dog person, I would have totally understood if your dog got stomped by that horse.
Yeah.
As far as the horse knows, your dog's a predator. As far as the riders know, your dog could be a predator.
When the dogs, like, as much as I love dogs, they have that predatory instinct in them. Shout out to some of my really good friends, Sam and Austin. They got these dogs. So Pike the Toller, go check out his Instagram page. He's a very cute boy. He's a duck toller. And then they've got,
I love tollers.
They've got Trout. She's a black shepherd. Best behaved dogs I've ever seen in my life.
The toller and the shepherd?
Yeah. Yeah, look at them. I mean, Trout looks like she'd kill you.
Oh my goodness.
But, like, that goes to show that any breed, like 2 different breeds, just if you got a responsible owner, you can make a well-rounded dog, like, that listens and won't charge strangers.
Oh, and in fact, these people are followed by Cali-bred duck toller who I have been following them for a while, and once I...
Are you and Anne looking at getting a toller?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. That's awesome.
We discussed dogs quite a bit together, and so she didn't grow up with dogs. Actually, what are we looking at for time here? Hour 15? We can probably do like another, 15 or so. 15, 20. This is probably be the longest episode, but it's just flowing so smoothly. Yeah, but we were looking at dogs. She grew up without dogs in her household, Viet family. So she's definitely more comfortable with like the small dogs, like Havanese, Shih Tzu, that kind of thing.
Ting ting dogs. That's what my fiance calls them. Because imagine like if they had a sound, it'd be ting 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 ting.
Yeah.
It's like walk.
The tiny little dainty feet.
Yeah.
Whereas like I grew up around dogs, and my family had dogs until I was about 5, and I've always like had friends with dogs and been around households with dogs and like been on farms with dogs. So I wanted like big like Irish wolfhound kind of thing.
Yeah, those are sweet dogs.
So we ended up settling on the Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever.
Yeah.
Because it was small enough and cute enough that Anne could handle it, but it was big enough that it's not just coyote bait.
Exactly.
And if I eventually take up hunting again, once I recover from the mental trauma of the toe loss, which still sucks a little bit, but once I get back out in the field hunting ducks, the duck toller is going to be perfect for retrieving it. And then eventually we might get like a Labrador or a Golden Retriever, because all of those retriever type dogs are supposed to be excellent family dogs. It's just a full grown lab would be a bit much for her first dog, because they can get up to like 70, 80 pounds.
Yeah, they're big.
Whereas the tollers are going to be like 45-ish, 50.
Yeah.
So that's reasonable. The one thing I am a little worried about is the toller scream I've heard of. Apparently when they get excited, they'll do like this like...
So I've never heard it. Like, I've been around their dog a lot. We went on his bachelor party. We went way up north to northern Saskatchewan. I'm not going to say the lake.
Keep it secret, yeah.
For sure. And Pike was in the boat, man. He was a good little boy, and like... He gets excited when you catch fish.
Aww.
And he does this little, like, it doesn't scream, it's like a happy whimper, and he does like a little dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds perfect. I want that so bad. One thing I wanted to touch on before we wrapped up was also like just the fishing in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, we should probably jump back on the Saskatchewan train.
Yeah, we for anyone that actually wanted to learn about Saskatchewan, we are so sorry. So you've got walleye, we've got a lot of those in Alberta too. I don't know if they get as big as the ones you have out there. Northern pike, that's a good fat one. Lake trout. I actually fished Pierce Lake, which connects to Cold Lake in Alberta. Mm-hmm. And from what I've heard, Cold Lake has the bigger fish, but Pierce Lake still has lake trout. You guys got rainbows. It seems like everywhere has rainbows. I don't know. Do you know if those are natural rainbows or if those are all stocked? Because I know in northern Alberta we have the Athabasca rainbow trout. I would assume some of those are over in Saskatchewan as well.
There's definitely stocked rainbows. We've got a lot of fish and game stocked ponds in the province. I'm pretty sure there's natural rainbows as well.
Alright, let's actually... Because the Athabasca rainbows should be in the Athabasca River, which should flow into Saskatchewan, I would imagine.
Does it, or does it go into the Arctic?
Oh, God. Now I'm following it. It looks like it just goes straight north.
Yeah, that's in the Arctic.
Okay, we're going sideways. There's Fort Mac. Yeah, it goes straight north. We got the grayling.
Have not caught one of those.
I definitely haven't caught one that good. 4.3 pounds was the record.
So in Fond du Lac, that's way getting up there.
So this picture of the guy holding the fish.
He also looks like Keanu Reeves.
I was gonna say like half Keanu, half Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
I'm gonna I want to crop that photo and throw that on the video as well. So where his fingers are halfway down the fish, the biggest fish I've caught is only from the tail to where his fingers are for grayling. Like I've caught dinky grayling.
That's still impressive that you've caught a grayling though.
I spent a lot of time and also making friends with people that take pity on me. Oh, you got some brook trout, yellow perch, whitefish, sauger, goldeye, brown trout, splake, and largemouth bass. Okay, stocked in one reservoir. Wait a minute though. Why does this not mention your other game fish? Are catfish not considered game fish over there?
Honestly, I should know, but I don't.
Like I know they don't count suckers as game fish in Alberta, even though they fight better than walleye half the time. Okay,
suckers are a good fight.
What else do we have on this list? Okay, you also have Cisco, moon-eye and gold-eye, white sucker, short-head red horse, long-nose sucker, big-mouth buffalo.
So those are down south, and those are often mistaken for carp, which, as you know, I've been listening to the episodes of the podcast, and in Saskatchewan, the Asian silver carp are an invasive species. So if you catch them, please do not put them back.
Kill them immediately.
Yeah. The seagulls got to eat too. So
that was something that I feel like some people are going to struggle with as well, but we're going to have to kill a lot of stuff for the good of nature. Because, the Prussian carp, they're everywhere. The Asian carp, they're everywhere. The big-mouth buffalo, like, as someone that isn't familiar with your Saskatchewan fish, I would have assumed that was a type of carp. Mm-hmm. What else? You do have common carp. These ones are okay. Right?
Yeah.
They were originally introduced to the U.S. from Europe, and they've extended their range. Oh, they're introduced too.
Channel cats. Which are, again, way down in the southeast. Like
average size 2 to 4 kilos. They can get up to 10 kilos. For any Americans, that's like 22 pounds. Black bullhead. It's a cool looking catfish.
You've caught sturgeon before?
I've caught some sturgeon. Holy shit.
Not targeting them, obviously.
Not at the sizes they're saying here. 123 kilos for the maximum ones. Jesus, that's like 250 pounds.
I mean, it's no Fraser River sturgeon, but
it's a different species.
Yeah.
I wish.
That would be terrifying.
Well, did you watch River Monsters? Do you watch much of that
I remember, so when I was in Thailand, we swam in the River Kwai on this, like, excursion on this bamboo raft. Got done, got some, like, cheap Thai beer, I forget what they're called, turned on TV, and the only English channel was River Monsters.
Yes.
And they're in frickin' Thailand, and we're like, we just swam in that river an hour ago.
Do you remember what the monster fish was for that episode?
I think it was something smaller, like a piranha type fish with just sharp ass teeth.
My grandma, rest in peace, this old Caribbean woman, I randomly discovered after knowing her my entire life in my mid-20s, suddenly found out that she also watched River Monsters. Like, I mentioned it during one of our phone calls before she passed away, and she was like, "It's always the same, Gareth. Oh, the sunlight is fading, and I only have chance to catch one more fish, and it's a catfish." Because half the episodes, the monster was a catfish, because they get huge
because
and
they're
have
filter
stupidly
feeders.
giant mouths.
Yeah, they're filter feeders, so that all that microplankton and microplastics and they just
All the weird chemicals they're leaching up from that river mud.
Did you say your grandma's from the Caribbean?
Yeah, my grandparents are from Trinidad and Tobago.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I know that.
Oh god, they have the most distinguished voices. I told my grandpa the other day, I was like, it sounds like you're pouring honey over my ears. He has such a great voice for narration. He made a lot of money at the job that he worked when he was younger, but I was like, Grandpa, your voice would have been so good for like any documentary. If he would have narrated, and I'm gonna pump up his tires a little bit here. He could have given David Attenborough a run for his money if he wanted to.
Yeah.
That level of, like, distinction to his voice. You hear him speak, he could say anything authoritatively. You're like, he could be like, this table is blue. And it's obviously black, but he would say it, and you're like, maybe it's blue?
It is.
Like, he's just, yeah, great voice.
That's awesome.
The last thing I wanted to touch on was the flatness of Saskatchewan.
I love it.
It's a rectangle. It's flat. We just found out that the tallest mountain is 600 meters above or 600 meters total elevation.
I don't even think that's the tallest point. I'm pretty sure the tallest point is either Beaver Mountain. Yeah, Beaver Lodge Mountain, way in the north. There's no roads up there, or it's one of the hills. There's essentially foothills in the Rice River area, so like straight east of Nipawin, where the glaciers just never had a chance to destroy the hills. So there's foothills in Saskatchewan. However, they're not at the feet of mountains.
That sounds deceptive.
I know.
Apparently there's an unnamed high point that is... it showed the number for a second there. Where did it go? It said it was like 4,500. Okay, zoom in. 4,567 feet above sea level. What's Edmonton's elevation? I feel like Edmonton is Edmonton higher than the tallest peak? Okay, no, it's not. You're lucky. You got away with it this time. Edmonton's tallest point, 2,116 feet. So,
You know what Edmonton's name is in Cree?
I have no idea.
It is Amiskwachi-Waskahikan, which translates to Beaver Mountain House.
Oh my god, and I've heard both of those words individually, but not together.
Yeah.
Because we've got the Amiskwachi Academy in central Edmonton. And then Waskahikan, that's the name of like a big trail system right outside the city. There's like apparently a big walking loop you can do that goes through like Elk Island, Cooking Lake, Blackfoot, and a couple other areas.
Did not know that. Saskatchewan. Obviously, Saskatchewan's like a bastardized English version of a Cree word, Saskatchewan CP, which means swift flowing river.
That one definitely sounds nicer.
Yeah. It's just hard to say.
Do you think that there's going to be an explosion of Cree speakers over the next few years?
I went to my first sweat lodge last summer, which if you've never been, you should find one.
Never.
And some places are gonna be like, oh no, if you're not Indigenous, you can't come. And some places are like, yeah, like Telus Spark Center does a lot of stuff. They did this one called Teepees and Telescopes we went to, so like open to anyone. I lasted all 4 rounds. It was really, really hot. There's a dude I met, he was like, oh, there's a Cree behind every tree. So like Cree is the biggest tribe in Canada. There's 4 or 5 different dialects. Plains, Northern, Wood, Moose, Swampy, and then there's sub-dialects from that. Right, so there's Michif, which is the Métis language, and the further north you go, the more Cree it is, and the further south you go, the more French it is.
Oh, that sounds confusing.
It is very confusing.
So, if you were Cree and French bilingual, do you think you would understand Michif? Or would you have to know their dialects? Is it...
So like in English, we say bison. I mean, a lot of people refer to it as a buffalo, but it's a bison, right? Cree, it's Pasqua Moose Tous, and in Michif, it's Lee Buffalo.
Okay, that's funny. So it's almost like a Cree patois?
Yeah.
Like a... You ever heard of like a pidgin language? Like Pidgin?
Yeah.
Is it kind of like that? Like you take elements of other languages and like mold them to fit your own?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is referred to as a pidgin language.
That's interesting.
It is. I think it could definitely blow up, like, right? Because, like...
There are definitely a lot of programs supporting it. We're seeing a lot more of, like... How do I put it? Not just Indigenous pride, but, like, Indigenous... I'm trying to think of the right words
like
to use.
Revitalization?
There we go. Perfect. Yeah, it's like revitalization. You're seeing a lot of very mature, methodical people who are like, how do we revive the culture? Well, we bring back the sweat lodges. We bring back the language. Cree only recently attached the written stuff to the oral language, correct? Like, the written version is very recent, right?
Yeah, so like there's the syllabics, which I cannot read, and then they have what's called SRO, single Roman orthography. So it's English alphabet making Cree words. So like beaver is AMISK, but in Cree K's make G's.
So it would be like a misg?
A misc. It's kind of like a throaty language, whereas like, I mean, you speak Spanish, right? It's more like on the tip of your tongue, like French, like the Latin languages, rolling your R's.
It kills me. I still can't roll my R's yet.
I can't either.
I'm working on it. I feel like it's one of those things where if you don't learn it when you're a child, it's just never gonna happen.
Yeah.
So it says 1840s is when the Cree syllabics first entered the scene. And yeah, you know what? I'll throw this picture into the
A lot of triangles.
Yeah. I'll throw this picture onto the video as well. But for anyone that's just listening, look up Cree syllabics. Syllabics?
Cree is an Algonquin language, just like English is a Germanic language.
I think I might have said this quote on the podcast before, but my ever distinguished grandpa once said that English is a Germanic language wearing the skin of Romance languages. Because our sentence structure is entirely Germanic, but most of our words are like Latin based.
Yeah.
I don't know. As a dork, I definitely would look up a lot of words and be like, oh, well, that's where that came from. That's where that came from. Mm-hmm. And then I did all of Duolingo's Latin courses. And while I was learning all of the Latin language that Duolingo offered, I kept recognizing words like, oh, that is where the root for this English word came from, and that is the exact same as the Spanish word. Like a cena is dinner in Latin and Spanish. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, like this is perfect. So the Latin was pretty easy to learn, but yeah, I definitely see Cree becoming a bigger thing, especially with a lot of the recent reconciliation stuff.
Yeah.
You're for a while just
I don't mind it.
It's great. Just to round it off though, so I think I told you this over drinks the other week, but the one quote that you said about Saskatchewan that stuck with me throughout all these years is when I was asking what keeps bringing you back, why do you love that province so much?
Yeah.
And you were talking about the giant fields of wheat, and you were like, it's like looking over fields of gold.
Yeah, so like, would you determine Saskatchewan's pretty flat. Like, my fiance grew up in Regina, mm-hmm. and Regina is the capital of Saskatchewan. That city's trying to figure out if they are like a hipster university town or if they're an industry town, and they've got both there. It's a weird scene. Leo's, have you been to Leo's here?
The corner? Yeah.
Yeah. Started from Regina.
My My wife might have told me, but I definitely forgot.
Leo's is a sweet bar. So if you guys got a Leo's, basically if you live in Saskatchewan, Alberta, you may have a Leo's near you. Go check it out. Get a poutine. Regina is super flat, super flat, and like I did some oil and gas work when I was going through paramedic school and we were living there, and I'd go up great big flare stacks and you could literally see Moose Jaw, which is 45 minutes away.
Oh my god.
Saskatoon starting to get more hilly. Where I'm from, you got hills, so I really like where I'm from because we're on the fringe. So deer hunting in the evening, man, like if you got like a nice like warm fall and there's no snow yet, you're sitting on the edge of a wheat field that hasn't been harvested yet, and there's like tree lines, and the deer come out of the tree lines, and just as the sun is setting, like, oh, it's beautiful. You got your greens, you got the blue, you got like the gold on the wheat, and then hopefully you got a deer in the back of your truck.
Would you recommend Saskatchewan to people?
Yeah, so
for tourism, or for jobs, or for setting down root and starting a family?
We definitely think, like, we're like 99% sure we're gonna move back to Saskatchewan to start a family.
Yeah.
Just the cost of living is a bit cheaper, and homes are cheaper there too. Family is there. Jobs, that's the one thing, like, I'm really stoked about the Alberta Sheriffs getting on with them. Like, that was like a goal I had when I was young.
Yeah.
And there's so many rooms for growth, but then, like, there's just not as many rooms for growth in Saskatchewan in the government. Saskatchewan has a sheriff's department, but there's not as many specialty units.
Yeah.
There's like 2 units. It's courts or transport. Yeah, so like, I gotta find a job there before we move back.
Yes.
But I love it. Like, I'm a big boat guy. I love boats. Had a kayak growing up, like canoe trips.
Well, with your background, firefighting, paramedic, law enforcement, educated, knows the outdoors, knows conservation, you have, not to suck up too much, but you probably have a lot of doors you could open up if you went back there.
I hope so too. I got this weird like thing where I'm like, oh, maybe I don't have enough qualifications, and then like my friends are
and then like, you look at your own resume.
Stop being dumb. Just apply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just from what I've seen, from knowing you, like you can do so much. There's so much you personally can do.
Thanks,
and
man.
I look forward to being your friend for the next several decades.
That's a good thing. Yeah, definitely. Like Saskatchewan, I would love if we, like, when I'm living back there, if you and Ann came out with your dog and like explore like where I'm from. Obviously, like the North Sask, you guys got the North Sask here, but there's a lot of lakes. And
I would still love to check out other parts of this river. I've fished this river in a few different spots, but I just realized how romantic this sounds, but I want to like learn every inch of the North Saskatchewan River. I
do too. I want to go to the headwaters. So again, this was like a 2, 3, 4 in the morning, Googling and looking at all trails. The headwaters of the North Saskatchewan is this glacier in the northern part of Banff that is sketchy as hell to get there. Like, you got to go over like either an ice or a log bridge.
Headwaters
depending on the season.
Of North Saskatchewan River. The Saskatchewan Glacier in Banff National Park. Let's find this one. Saskatchewan Glacier.
But I fully agree with you. Like, I'd love to see the headwaters, and I'd love to see the tributary where it flows out.
Oh, that would be... Oh, it's by Castleguard Mountain. What are those other ones? We got... Oh, Mount Saskatchewan. That makes sense. Mount Athabasca. There's the ice field. Well, that would be a hell of a walk.
So you see the Big Bend there in the highway? I'm sure you've done a drive from Jasper to Banff.
Yes.
You literally park at the Big Bend there, just on the shoulder, and then you start walking.
I need to find myself a royalty-free image of... I might just use a stock photo of a glacier for this. But, well, ladies and gentlemen, Josh and I are going to plan some adventures. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
This has been amazing. I'm happy we got to do this before you head out. And
we talked about this years ago. I remember, like, if we go back on our Facebook Messenger, like, we talked about this.
Hopefully we can do this again soon.
I hope so too.